There are places where history does not whisper, it echoes. Far from the noise of the modern world, broken walls still stand, staring into a sky they once ruled beneath. This was not an ordinary city. This was the heart of an empire that vanished without a farewell. Today, its stones lie silent, but they remember everything. Across the ancient world, something began to move. Not an army, not a king, not a single disaster, but a wave, quiet at first, that rolled across civilizations like a rising tide. Cities went dark, trade routes snapped, palaces burned, and no one understood why. Welcome to a story written not in ink, but in ash, stone, and shattered empires. Tonight, we step back more than 3,000 years to uncover one of history's greatest mysteries. How did an entire world fall? Almost at once? Poets sang of war. They sang of heroes, ships, and burning towers. But beneath the legend lies a real city, fortified, wealthy, and deeply connected to a fragile network of trade and alliances. This world was strong, but strength can hide weakness. The Bronze Age world was tightly woven. Tin from one land, copper from another. Grain, oil, weapons, timber, everything flowed along invisible lifelines. Cities were not isolated. They depended on each other to survive, and dependency can be dangerous. These routes were the arteries of civilization. Block them, and the heart would fail. Bronze was more than a metal. It was power itself, but it required rare ingredients. And rare ingredients require peace, stability, and trade. Without them, bronze disappears. We do not rely on myths alone. Clay tablets, broken letters, burned palaces frozen in time. These fragments tell us a story that legends could not. Across the coastlines, ships appeared, their banners unfamiliar, their names lost to time. They did not conquer. They erased. Cities burned, never rebuilt. A desperate message once left a port city. Enemies are at our gates. We are alone. No help came. Consider the Hittites, a superpower of their time, rulers of a vast empire from their capital, Hattusa. For centuries, their chariots were the most feared weapon on the battlefield. Their archives, inscribed on clay, show a kingdom obsessed with order, law, and diplomacy. Yet, in the span of a single generation, their empire evaporated. Hattusa was burned and abandoned. The last Hittite king wrote a desperate letter, pleading for grain. It may have been the last thing he ever wrote. Their disappearance was so total that for thousands of years, they were considered a myth. On the coast of modern-day Syria lay Ugarit, a jewel of the Mediterranean. It was not a military empire, but a cosmopolitan center of commerce, where merchants from across the known world met and traded goods, ideas, and languages. It was so advanced, it gave the world one of its first alphabets. But its wealth depended entirely on the peace and stability of the sea. In the city's final hours, with the king and his army away fighting, the city's top official received a terrifying message from a scout. A letter, found by archaeologists baked in the fires that destroyed the city, reads with chilling urgency. The enemy's ships are here. My cities are burned, and they have done evil things in my country. Another tablet is a desperate, unanswered plea for aid from a neighboring kingdom. Ugarit was consumed by fire, its location so completely forgotten that it was only rediscovered by accident in 1928. While empires turned to dust around them, one kingdom held the line. Egypt, ancient and powerful, faced the storm head-on. The story of their struggle is not one of myth, but is carved in stone on the mortuary temple of Pharaoh Ramesses III at Medinet Habu. The inscriptions tell of a great confederation of invaders, a mysterious coalition known to history as the Sea Peoples, who had already desolated the Hittite lands and the coast of the Levant. Now, they came for the ultimate prize, the riches of the Nile Valley. Ramesses III mounted a desperate, brilliant defense. He met the invaders in a massive land battle on the borders of Egypt. But the true genius of his strategy came at the mouth of the Nile. Knowing the Sea People's ships were not designed for river combat, he lured their fleet into the narrow channels of the delta. Egyptian ships, waiting in ambush, trapped them. Archers rained down arrows from the riverbanks. The Nile, the source of Egypt's life, became a graveyard for its enemies. Egypt had won. The invaders were defeated, and the kingdom was saved from the utter annihilation that befell its neighbors. But it was a Pyrrhic victory. The wars had bled the treasury dry. The cost of maintaining the army led to massive inflation, and the world's first recorded labor strike by the tomb builders of Deir el-Medina. Egypt lost control of its foreign empire in Canaan and Syria, its sphere of influence shrinking back to the Nile itself. Though its monuments still stood, the new kingdom was broken. It had survived the collapse, but only to enter a long, slow twilight of decline. Egypt's walls held, but the interconnected world they once dominated was gone forever, leaving them isolated and diminished. In Greece, the world of Mycenaean heroes, the world of Agamemnon and Achilles, crumbled. Their magnificent palaces, centers of wealth and power, were destroyed. The complex art of writing, known as Linear B, vanished completely. For the next 400 years, Greece plunged into a dark age. Population plummeted. Communities became small, isolated, and poor. The memory of their past greatness survived only in the epic poems of Homer, passed down orally through generations of darkness. Within a generation, great capitals vanished, libraries burned, kings disappeared from history. The ancient system collapsed like a domino chain. Even the world's oldest cities felt the tremor. Some survived, but were never the same. Iron replaced bronze, and when metal changes, so does power. Old elites lost control. New warriors rose. Rain failed. Harvests shrank. Famine spread, and hunger topples kingdoms faster than armies. A distant eruption darkened skies for years. Cold summers, failed crops, silent deaths. Perhaps they were not the storm, but the final wave. The world was already cracking. They only finished what had begun. This leads to a fourth, more complex theory: a systems collapse. The Bronze Age world wasn't brought down by a single catastrophe, but by a perfect storm of cascading failures. Imagine a drought, climate change leading to famine. Famine forces mass migrations, the invaders. These migrations disrupt trade routes. Without trade, kingdoms can't get tin and copper to make bronze for weapons. Armies weaken. Central authority breaks down. Cities become vulnerable. It wasn't one domino, but all the dominoes falling at once in a chain reaction that became unstoppable. Civilizations do not fall in a moment. They fade. They fracture. They forget how to hold themselves together. And one day, they become ruins, waiting for us to listen.